African Risk Capacity, or ARC, is a specialized agency of the African Union, whose creation was driven by ministers of finance on the continent, but which was also midwifed by the World Food Programme and supported by the Rockefeller Foundation by Sweden, Switzerland, UK, and Germany. In 2015, the African Risk Capacity demonstrated that the concept was indeed working, with $26 million paid out to 3 countries in the Sahel, a few weeks after the end of harvest and following significant rainfall deficit in the region. This allowed the beneficiary countries, which were Senegal, Mauritania, and Niger, to rapidly deploy assistance to 1.3 million people and 900,000 cattle. I think all of us are familiar with the usual images we see of cattle that are dead in the field after a drought and children with flies on their faces who have no food. This time we were able to avoid the spectacle by making a payout to these 3 countries. The World Food Programme and START, a consortium of NGOs, have expressed strong interest to participate in the replica policy. It will be supported by the European Commission and the Netherlands in securing the replica coverage. So right now we have 32 member countries in ARC, 7 of which have actually purchased insurance. And part of the work we're doing here is to expose this risk management tool to many more countries so that we'll cover the entire continent and also have up to 30 countries at least purchasing insurance by 2020.
At the African Development Bank, we recognize that Africa can no longer be content with emergency responses, because once you're in the emergency room, it is too late. And we also are not content with disruptive reallocation of scarce development resources. We believe that this conviction is shared by our regional member countries, and this is why you set up the Africa Risk Capacity Agency, ARC, or ARC, under the auspices of the African Union. Many studies have shown that nearly 50% of all emergency multilateral food assistance to Africa is due to natural disasters. And in 2012, for example, the World Food Programme spent about $2.7 billion to assist 54.2 million Africans who were impacted by droughts and floods. However, the studies done by ARC have shown that that a $1 investment in early intervention would serve $4.40 spent after a crisis unfolds. So we know that doing these types of insurance mechanisms can save us money in the future. And the narrative is very clear. It is cost effective to invest in early interventions. However, we also know that our success in building resilience to the impacts of climate and weather change cannot depend only on international funds. And as I mentioned, with the work that Ngozi and colleagues have been doing, Africans have been, through pride, actually doing this for themselves. So we must therefore work even harder to mobilize domestic resources. That is the challenge before us today, and I'm looking very much forward to signing this letter of intent and to hearing what comes out of the excellent panel that you have put together.
First of all, as you all know, as a finance minister, one of the biggest headache that you really, don't want to get into is to reorganize a budget in the middle of the financial year, just because you've had some disruption by way of a drought or, El Nino, floods and the like. In Kenya, we've had to do that almost every financial year, and it's just because of the how vulnerable we are as a country to many shocks, which one of them is really drought, and it's because of those those experiences we've had in the past in terms of tackling the risks that come about when we implement the budget. that we saw this innovative idea from the continent, from AU, the African Risk Capacity, as something that we thought should help us, deal with these challenges that we faced. So we've, tried to, use many other mechanisms apart from our homegrown solutions. We're also looking at continental solutions. I'm very glad that ADB now is coming on board on this. I think the big challenge that we have is, we need more countries to come in so that, the premiums that are paid, many countries also contribute to this. As you rightly pointed out, Kenya has paid a big share on this. But I believe as more countries come in, that burden will be spread to more countries. And in addition to also continental bodies like ADB chipping in the premium, I think also that will also be very supportive in this level. So I want just to say that Kenya will continue to be committed to this. We know the value, even if we have not accessed this. But this is a precaution, it's an insurance. So it's only when you get the effect is when you can actually access. Otherwise, of course, we pray not to get into those disasters so that we don't doesn't affect our economy.
Je pense que l'adhésion du Sénégal à l'AFDB vient d'un constat en 2011. En 2011, le Sénégal a connu une sécheresse qui a impacté négativement sur sa croissance économique. On a eu un taux de croissance économique de l'ordre de 1,7%, qui est inférieur au taux de croissance démographique. Et ça, c'était lié au fait qu'on a eu un recul de la production céréalière de près de 39%. Et un recul aussi de la production arachidière, parce qu'en réalité, au Sénégal, si l'arachide va, tout va. Et concrètement,